the Ascended Master Kuthumi, holds the office of World Teacher along with our beloved Jesus. Kuthumi has influenced science and world thought for thousands of years, and it is he who has taught the law of cycles as fundamental to a comprehensive world view. Embodied as the great master Pythagoras, he expounded the law of the harmony of opposing forces. The harmony of opposing forces. He taught how all of manifestation is composed of vibration in various states of interaction and equilibrium. We will see how this profound understanding is inherent in the cyclic law. In his last embodiment during the 1800s, Kuthumi, known to his Western chelas as Kuthumi Lal Singh, or KH, was a very advanced adept. He had conquered the usual ravages of time on the physical form, and it is said that for decades he continued to have the same youthful appearance. He was able to control the elements, to project a double of his physical body anywhere on the planet, and carry on conversations. Much of his life remains a mystery, but we know he lived and directed the course of the Theosophical Society from an esoteric school of adepts in a remote Himalayan valley, inaccessible to anyone uninvited. Below him were very advanced chelas. Above him were several chohans and the Maha Chohan. The strictest codes of esoteric discipline were kept. Kuthumi was a great scholar with a mind able to penetrate the veils of time and read the Akashic records of Earth's history. The knowledge of his chohans was of intergalactic dimensions, and they guided him closely in all of his dealings with his chelas. Much to the wonder of his fellow adepts and to the consternation of his chohans, Kuthumi attempted to bring to Western man some of the long forbidden mysteries of the occult brotherhood. In a letter sent to the English philosopher A.O. Hume in 1882, published in the book The Mahatma Letters, Kuthumi wrote, "I would not refuse what I have a right to teach. Only I had to study for 15 years before I came to the doctrines of cycles, and had to learn simpler things at first." Our own Kuthumi had to study 15 years under the Chohans before coming to the subject of the law of cycles. It is by dispensation of the Lords of Mind that we today shall penetrate some of these teachings, along with the revelations brought forth by the Ascended Masters through this activity. The progressive revelation of God's mysteries are continuing to bring forth new avenues for understanding the nature of the cycles of life and how we can use this knowledge to save a planet and a people. We are joyous that beloved Kuthumi and El Moria, Dwal Kul, Lanello, Saint Germain, and Lord Maitreya have determined to bring to us enough understanding of the law of cycles so that we could feel the joy of this mystery penetrating the matter spheres and our own day-to-day experience as we are together, ascended and unascended members of the Brotherhood, looking to forge the greater union whereby our earth can be elevated into a golden age of enlightenment and peace through this law of cycles. Perhaps we are hitherto worshippers of the unknown God of cycles. Henceforward, we shall be worshippers of the known God of cycles. the marriage of science and true religion brings forth a progeny of wisdom and higher understanding. Some of the elements of the law of cycles we will discuss clash with what is regarded as current scientific fact or archaeological proofs. In the same letter of 1882 to Hume, in explaining how exact a science the esoteric teachings were, Kuthumi wrote, "Let me tell you that the means we avail ourselves of are all laid down for us in a code as old as humanity to the minutest detail. But every one of us has to begin from the beginning, not from the end. Our laws are as immutable as those of nature, and they were known to man and eternity before this strutting gamecock, modern science, was hatched." 100 years have passed since that letter, and indeed the cycle has turned. Science is beginning to prove with her instruments and detectors many laws and facts previously considered to be occult meanderings. To understand one of the basic tenets of the law of cycles, we must delve into the deepest mysteries of our spirit-matter universe. Here we contact the simplest and grandest of all cycles, the dual pulsation that is the heartbeat of cosmos. Here we find the one element, forever in equilibrium, forever pulsating in the rhythmic cycles, that reverberates down to the inner core of every atom. The entire religious philosophy of the yin-yang of Taoism is built upon the existence and importance of the cyclic interchange between an infinite hierarchy of opposing or complementary forces. It is the grand cycle of Alpha to Omega. We hear it singing the song of the atom within our very own cosmos. It is the inhalation and exhalation of the Godhead. It is the interdimensional pattern of flow between spirit and matter. In Sanskrit, Purusha and Prakriti, the two poles of the cosmic magnet that sustains all of life. This cosmic magnet, Purusha, Prakriti, sustaining all of life. Truly, our study of the law of cycles is a meditation on our own inner being. We read in Climb the Highest Mountain, "The truth all mankind seek is based on the irrefutable law that spirit and matter are not opposites. They are the twofold nature of God's being, which remain forever as the divine polarity." This primary cycle we are considering is the simplest relationship of two forces and the most all-encompassing action. If we clearly embrace the cyclic flow and unity between the spirit-matter or father-mother principles of motion, it is as if we are given a library card to God's storehouse of universal knowledge. As Kuthumi said, "Let us begin at the beginning, and all of the vast complexities of God's infinite cycles will become clear upon the illuminated background of the original cycle." All form is the result of motion. To have motion implies a point toward which the motion occurs and away from which it proceeds. This, in its grandest conception, is the cosmic magnet, the father-mother flow. A magnet attracts and a magnet repels. If you hold a horseshoe magnet in your hand, you can discover that there is a point of perfect equilibrium in the space exactly between the two opposite poles. At the heart of the polarity is unity and harmony. All of cosmos is a magnet in the macrocosmic sense. In his Pearl of Wisdom of June 1968, Sanat Kumara teaches about this cycle of universal flow. Those who would explore the far reaches of space, both inner and outer, should understand that the divine feminine is the womb of creation that is impregnated with life by the Spirit of God. The material universe is the negative polarity, whereas the spiritual universe is the positive polarity of the Godhead. Matter, meaning mater, is the chalice that receives the invigorating, life-giving essence of the sacred fire. Thus, the Father principle completes the cycle of manifestation in the world of form through the mother aspect, and child man is nourished by the balancing, sustaining action of life, whose twofold nature, spirit matter, masculine feminine, is epitomized in the Christ. This divine polarity exists as above, so below. From the balanced pulsation of the great central sun to the systemic equilibrium of the hydrogen atom. We learn from the science of sound and from the archives of the Brotherhood that all manifested cosmos is the interplay of vibrations. And what is a vibration, if not a cyclic motion related to a framework of time and space orientation? All can be conceived as a cyclic vibration. Our universe is a vast web of electromagnetic waves oscillating at different numbers of cycles per second. The range of cycles is infinite, from one cycle in billions of years to billions of cycles each second. All are derivatives of the one pulsation we observe, pivoting around the point of infinite equilibrium of the cosmic magnet. Before we become immersed in this web of creation, let us take a step up our mountain of observation and consider the grandest, longest, most mysterious cycle in the world of form. The length of this cycle is calculated in terms of trillions of years, and we find ourselves reaching for a volume that might be called the life of Brahma. The law of cycles has taken us to the beginning of cosmos and the end. Writing from the home of Kuthumi at Sagatsi in the Himalayas, gazing at an iceberg before him, Moria wrote to A.P. Sinnett in January of 1882. Nothing in nature springs into existence suddenly, all being subjected to the same law of gradual evolution. Realize but once the process of the Maha cycle of one sphere, and you have realized them all. One man is born like another man. One race evolves, develops, and declines like another, and all other races. Nature follows the same groove from the creation of a universe down to that of a mosquito. In studying esoteric cosmogony, Keep a spiritual eye upon the physiological process of human birth. Proceed from cause to effect. Cosmology is the physiology of the universe spiritualized, for there is but one law. We will do just that. First, we will learn of the cycles of Brahma, of God, as he unfolds the myriad systems of worlds. Then man, the microcosm, and the cycles of becoming will spread before us. Considering the nature of atoms, Moria continues. They polarize themselves during the process of motion and are propelled by the irresistible force at work. In cosmogony and the work of nature, the positive and the negative, or the active and passive forces, correspond to the male and female principles. Your spiritual efflux comes not from behind the veil, but is the male seed falling into the veil of matter. The active is attracted by the passive principle, and the great Nag, the serpent emblem of the eternity, attracts its tail to its mouth, forming thereby a circle, cycles in eternity, in that incessant pursuit of the negative by the positive. The one and chief attribute of the universal spiritual principle, the unconscious but ever active life giver, is to expand and shed. That of the universal material principle, to gather and fecundate, to make fruitful. Unconscious and non-existing when separated, they become consciousness and life when brought together. Hence again, Brahma from the root Bri, the Sanskrit for to expand, grow, or fructify.